talk, and Kingsley Manuel is here.
Thank you very much for having us. We're very happy to be here this morning.
Well, with just a few more days to the end of the Olympic Games for 2024 in Paris, Team Nigeria is yet to get their name registered on the medals table as heartbreak continue with areas of strength in Esebrume, Rudusoro, and Prestina Ogonogo miss out on the podium in the long jump event. This is one area where Nigeria in the past had garnered medals, and now all of the hope of getting another long jump medal is come to naught.
Those are the events down there, of course, for Team Nigeria. This is not the kind of performance we expected, prior to the Olympic Games. Taking a look at the level of preparation and all of
it's been an
abysmal performance so far for Team Nigeria. And for the long jump events, which we thought, of course, at least we're going to get something, looking at the fact that it's the final, we saw three of these long jumpers, getting a favorable record down to the final. The likes of Chanogo, the likes of Rotusoro and Esebrume. They had an impressive performance, of course, in the semi-final, and we thought it's going to be rosy, of course, in the final. And taking a look at the performance was really, what, of course, we could really talk about at this point in time. So for
me, I think it's really disappointing. One long jump, of course, is one of the events that Team Nigeria always capitalize on. Even in the last Olympic game, I think we were able to get something, of course, from long jump. But this time, our best, of course, wasn't really good enough. The likes of Esebrume, which everyone thought at least we're going to get a medal from her, just actually fell short. I think it's really disturbing at this point, where athletes, of course, was going to give us medals, at the end of the day, and not living up to expectation. Talk about the likes of Blessing Brodudu in wrestling. We'll talk about, in tennis as well, Aruna Quadri. These are athletes that we expected, of course, to give us medal, but they've not been that fantastic. And as it stands now, the chance is very slim for Team Nigeria to be able to get a medal at this point in time, because when the top athletes are not giving their best or probably getting things done the way it's supposed to be, I tell you, I don't think we have hope at this point in time in getting a medal. Yes, we still have Toby and Musa, but we'll keep our fingers crossed and see what comes up. But for me, it was a disappointing performance for Esebrume, Rutusoro, and Ochonogo.
Very disappointing performance coming there from members of the Team Nigeria contingent in areas of strength, wrestling, and we talked about long jump as well. But let's get look at specific for wrestling. Odunayo Dekoro lost our quarterfinal women's wrestling in the 57 kg class. Narrowly, we will say these are lost further blighted Nigeria's medal hope in the at all. Where can we get it from? Because you talked about Blessing Brodudu earlier. Now the other very strong hope in Adekoroye had not gotten to the medal zone.
Yes, for me, it's another disturbing one. When you take a look at wrestling so far in the country, definitely want to give it up to Dan Gali with the way he has been able to groom these wrestlers and make them, of course, look very formidable the way they are at this point in time. Last time at the Tokyo Olympic events, Team Nigeria were able to come back with a silver medal in wrestling, and that came from Blessing Brodudu. But also had this time around, her best wasn't really good enough. No thanks to injury, who actually, of course, brought down her performance. We saw her not have given her best. I think that was in the semi-final. She was actually not fit. She had an injury, and that's why, of course, she couldn't perform very well. Odunayo Dekoroye, last time at the Tokyo Olympic game, I think she lost by pitfall, and this time also injury also played in her setback. We saw her not getting very well in the quarterfinals as well due to injury. So for me, I think injury has not been fair with our wrestlers this time around at the Olympic game. We see both Blessing Brodudu and Odunayo, of course, not having it right because of injury. For me, it's a disappointing one. I'll look forward to see maybe the other wrestlers can possibly brace up and see what they can do. Because at this point, I don't think we have any hope when it has to do with wrestling. Our best is Odunayo Dekoroye and Blessing Brodudu. For me, I don't think there's hope anymore in wrestling. But you never can tell. We might probably see a wrestler coming up to put up that challenge. So for me, another disappointing performance in a particular event where we didn't actually thought, of course, was going to go down this way. But it is what it is. I won't tag it as poor preparation because the wrestlers prepared well. Just like I mentioned, injury was not really the best of friend for them. I think they still have a lot, of course, to learn. Positive, of course, to take back home, and we hope we'll see other wrestlers coming up, to see what they can do going forward.
Well, it doesn't only rain, it pours for Team Nigeria at the Paris Olympic Games because we saw Nigeria's women's canoe single 200 meters event look bad again for Nigeria. Ayomide Bello, Beauty Akinade Otuedu all failed to progress to the semi-final stage of the competition. If you are not at the semi-final, you're not anywhere close to the medal table. Bello finished 6th in the second quarter final with a time of 49.24 seconds, while Otuedu came in the 8th position in the third heat, crossing the line at 0.0182 seconds. Kingsley, how bad can it be for Team Nigeria?
Very bad, very, very bad, as it says. Talking about caning, this is a sport we don't even practice down here in the country. This is a sport we don't even have, relevance. It's not a popular sport down here in Nigeria, whereas we have what it takes, to be able to organize such a sport. We have rivers around the country that could possibly, of course, help us to stage such a sport, but we don't really, dive into it. And talking about the likes of Ayomi Bello and her friend, I think if you take a look at that, take a look at their performance so far, take a look at what they've done for themselves. They're not based in Nigeria. They're coming from other countries to come represent represent Nigeria. And for me, I think it's really a disappointing one at this point in time. Our best, of course, has not been good enough so far in different events, and Kenya, of course, is one of them. And for me, I think sport ministry should take a look at this. There should be something, done when it has to do with, such a sport like Kenya at this point. We have what it takes, in the countries to be able to organize, a sport like Kenya, and then be able to groom talent, so that whenever we get to competitions like this, we'll be able to compete on a very high note. But for me, I think was another disappointment in a sport, where we don't even venture in, and we thought, of course, we're going to get into it. I wonder why, the sport ministry, of course, will include such a sport, because where are your strengths? You're looking forward to athletes that have been groomed in other countries, and at the end of the day, they come, they still do not give you the best. And another thing is preparation. Have you been able to monitor these athletes? Have you been able to, take a look at, their training, their routine, everything, to know if they are good enough for the sport? But immediately we just see someone coming up to say, oh, I can do this, and immediately we take it. We don't have any choice than to take the person, because at the end of the day, we don't have homegrown, queenies that can possibly go down there and do the needful. And that, for me, I think it's another disappointing outing in Kenya down there in the Olympics for Nigeria.
Disappointing outing for Team Nigeria at the Olympics, and like I mentioned, it doesn't only rain, it continues to pour, because Nigeria's hope of securing medals in the 4x100 meters relay event came crashing only yesterday. The quartet of Favor, Ashe, Kani Shola Ajayi, Alaba Akintola, and Oyerishe all finished 7th with the season best time of 38.20 seconds in the men's heat, which was not enough for them to go through to the crucial stage of the competition. Yes, there's improved time, but fell short of moving to the next level at the event.
Improved time, but our timing is not good enough. How can you have an improved time and still yet you can be able to make the podium? For me, I don't think we should be even happy with the timing. Yes, we talk about timing. Oh, Favor Philly had a very good timing. The likes of Brume and the rest of them had a very, but where are the timing taking us to? For me, I think we've not done enough. We shouldn't even be happy with, oh, we have a season best time of this and that. It is not good enough. It's not taking us anywhere. And that should tell you that the world has gone ahead of us, even down here in Africa. They've really gone ahead of us in sports, in athletics, in football. I think we have nothing to show for at this point. Take a look at the abysmal outing of the Super Falcons of Nigeria, not winning any game as well. Yes, we give kudos to the basketball team. They had an impressive performance. But I tell you, the world has really gone ahead of us when it has to do with sports. We'll see, we'll have a very good time, at the end of the day. But, the 4x100 meters, of course, used to be one of the events that at least Team Nigeria do depend on in terms of medals. But take a look at what is happening now. 7th with a very good time. It means our best is not good enough. When your best is not good enough, then you have to know that you have a lot of work to do. You have a lot to do at this point in time. For me, I think it's really disappointing now to talk about the likes of Favor Ashe. Once upon, I think at some point he was the fastest man, of course, in Nigeria. You talk about the Sukiri. This is an athlete that had a very good performance before, but taking a look at what has happened so far, I think for me, it's been a huge setback for me when it has to do with the 4x100 meters. A huge setback, if you ask me. When your best is not good enough, it means you have to do more, and that's what we're saying in the 4x100 meters relay race.
We're talking about disappointing out in the 4x100 meters relay race. Nigeria continue to suffer, not getting to medal zone at all. Not to talk about getting the medal itself, but we are not even at the semi-final stage of the competition. It's becoming very worrisome. Yes, like we mentioned, that there has been an improved timing, but this improved time has not been able to promote us to the very crucial stage of the competition. So I think a lot of questions, a lot of review will be done at the end.
Even in the women category, they also finished 6th as well.
Yes, we saw Favor
Philly
and gang, Favor, continue in that light as well. We're having problems, a little bit of it, but it is. Let's hope there will be thorough review in all of this. Weightlifting is one area where we thought Nigeria as well will be able to come up with a medal, but surprisingly, we've had he continues support there. He talks about not getting to medal zones.
Yes, she talked about Fola Shadi Lawal. The thought, of course, she was going to get this one right at this point in time. We'll talk about weightlifting in the past. Weightlifting has been one event or one area that Team Nigeria has really capitalized on in terms of racking up medals at the Olympic game. But this time around it was so difficult for Fola Shadi Lawal. She competed in the 230 kilogram snatch and cleek and jack. But her best, of course, wasn't good enough. She was very close to the podium, but along the line, of course, she fell short. So for me, another disappointing one. But I think we still have another weightlifter that will be coming up as well. I think Joy Ebuna, if I'm not mistaken, down there, she also will be coming up as well. Maybe we should be looking forward to see how we can get something from her. But it wasn't really that a bad performance, from Fola Shadi. And for me, I think at this point in time, yes, we've been talking, we're almost there. Why can't we get the finishing work done and dusted? We've seen our athletes go into the finals. Favor Philly was in the finals for the 200 meters. We've also seen the long jumpers. They were also in the finals. But getting to the finals is not, you're not guaranteed of medal until you get the work done at the end of the day. So for me, getting closer is not what Nigerians expect. What we want is go out there, you're in the final, get it done and dusted. And that's what our athletes have been unable to do. And that's what happened to Fola Shadi as well. It was really a disappointing one, but we hope that the other weightlifter will probably do the needful for Team Nigeria.
Fola Shadi missed out on a medal in the women's 59 kg weightlifting and finishing 5th in the event with a total lift of 230 kg in the snatch and clean and ab jack. This is shocking, but we hope that she who came close to the finish on the podium, missing out on the 3rd place by just a slim 5 kg. Kingsley, that was too close to come.
She was close to the podium, so close to the podium, and for me, it's another disappointing one.
But she was good in clean and jack by 5 kg.
Yeah, she was really good down there, and that's why I was a little bit disappointed that she couldn't get the job done, at the end of the day. Looking at the fact that we're almost there at every point in time in different events, and we don't get things, done as usual, it's not really a good one. If we're the best, if we were the best, then we should show that we're the best. You will only be called, you will only be tagged the best, you will only be tagged, favorites, or probably one who is there when you get the job done. You getting to the final and not getting things done, is not it. And that's what has happened to Team Nigeria, and also for Fola Shadi. That's what happened to her yesterday. But I think she's just trying to brace up, and wasn't really a bad performance, but getting it done would have been very, very good for Team Nigeria, taking a look at how it's been so poor for them.
It's been poor so far for Team Nigeria at the Olympic Games, but the sports minister, Sunday Wong, believes that the athletes out there in Paris should be given all of the support they can get. For me, I think I agree with him. The Olympics is really not all about winning. It's about participation.
Yes, not all about winning, but at least coming back home with something is good. We should participate very well. But Mr. Zhu, you got to understand that a lot of money has been spent. Before the Olympic, we had 12 billion naira has been doled out for this particular Olympic game. And we're coming back without no medal. For me, I think it's not a very good one. Yes, the sports minister is encouraging Nigerians to encourage the athletes. Whereas we should encourage them, especially those athletes that went down there to do to make the country proud, the likes of the D Tigers of Nigeria. You talk about the likes of Favour Philly, which we understand, of course, had a very a huge, controversy. Her mental health wasn't even stable in the 200 meters event. She was very, very disappointed, as well. You talk about the likes of Brume and Ruth Usoro and the rest who went to the final. At least they were able to put the flag of Nigeria up there. Toby Amusan is still on the line. Bless the bro, Dudu. At least we could commend, those athletes, for at least putting up a very impressive performance. But at least we should be able to get something, back home at the end of the day. Doling such amount of money that would have been probably invested in something else, maybe in the country to help the economy, and then we're doing it now, we're coming back without no medal. I don't think it's a good one at this moment. Maybe if we have a lot of money, we can say, okay, let's just go and participate and come back. The last time, I think in Rio 2016, Nigeria did not come back with any medal, at the Olympic Games. And the last Olympic, we only came back with 2 medals. At least we should be able to improve. Coming back home without a medal will be very disappointing. Yes, we should commend the athlete for what they've done and the participation, but at least coming back home with a medal will at least, make Nigerians, to be happy for participating down there at the Olympic Games.
No medals so far at the Olympic Games for Team Nigeria, but there's a lot of hope placed now on Toby Amusan, of course, the world champion in the 100 meters hurdle event. Can she bring her status to bear on the event later today, a few hours from now, the semi-final event of the event, the 100 meters hurdle, will be on showcase in Paris. So far, she put up a time of 12.49 seconds to beat Alasha Johnson of the United States of America to the second place position, and Janet Brown to the third place position a few days ago. She will be in action a few hours from now. Toby Amusan, Team Nigeria, what do we expect, Kingsley?
Yes, I think we should be hopeful for Toby Amusan. She can possibly get us something, if not a gold medal, at least a silver or a bronze, because you take a look at the 100-meter hurdle this time. She'll be competing with world champion, talking about Dylan Williams, and USC Grace Attack in this one. Not forgetting Devon Charlton. These are athletes that, of course, would that have actually done so well so far. And not only that, you also have other competitors as well.
Just by Camacho Queen will be in this one.
Yeah, Camacho Queen as well of Puerto Rico will also be in this one, and it will be a very tough one. But I think with the way we saw her, of course, in the first event, I think she can possibly go all the way to get Team Nigeria, a medal in this particular one, because I think it's been a very impressive one. I think the first 2 will have automatic qualification to the final, and then we'll see the remaining 2, coming as well. But for me, I think Toby has what it takes. It was a very easy one for her in the first events. And for me, I think with this one, despite the tough opponent being lined up, I think she has what it takes. She's been hopeful. After, the victory she got in the first event, she came up to say, this is her season. And with that level of confidence, I think she can go all the way to help Team Nigeria get something. And talking about the fact that, Toby, this is her 3rd Olympic appearance, and she's not won a gold medal before the Olympic Games. She's a world champion. I think she'd want to actually, put up this performance to make sure that, she put up that status, up high down there. So for me, I think this Olympic means a lot for Toby, and she's at stage, it's her season. We hope, of course, she will go all the way to at least, take away the shame from Team Nigeria this time around.
Well, we have to wrap up the story about Team Nigeria, but it's not on a very good note, Kingsley, for this half of the program. we've seen that Nigerian cyclists at the Olympic Games, not being provided with bicycle to race at the Olympic Games. She's at the Olympic Games to compete for Team Nigeria. But the Nigerian Olympic Committee, by extension, the Cycling Federation of Nigeria as well, did not provide her with a bicycle, and it was becoming embarrassing to the point where Team Germany provided her with the bicycle with which she used to compete at the Olympic Games.
Another disappointing one.
Shameful for me.
Very, very shameful. Very, very shameful, Mr. Siri. I don't know. When I saw cycling as one of the sport team Nigeria was participating, I was thinking, what have they done so far when it has to do with cycling? Last time we saw a cycling championship in Nigeria was in Abuja. I think that was last year, where we saw the cycling championship in Abuja. And since then, we haven't really heard much when it has to do with cycling. And talking about Eperisi, she doesn't even base in Nigeria. And this, for me, I don't understand. She's the first cyclist that
both male and female to compete at the Olympic Games.
Yes, to compete in Nigeria, and this in our first outing in cycling. This is the kind of embarrassment we're getting, where Germany have to borrow us a bicycle to participate at the Olympic Games.
But we knew we were going to participate at the Olympic Games. I'm really shocked that a bicycle was not provided for the cyclists representing Nigeria at the Olympic Games, and it's aftermath of you remember Favour Philly not being entered into the Olympic Games for a second time. For her own case, it's become even more painful because at the Tokyo Olympic Games, she was not tested from the, given the out of competition test, and so she missed out on the participation. Then again, this time around, she was not entered for the 100 meters, and 8 years of preparation all wasted there. And now we are getting embarrassed again of a cyclist who was entered into the event at the Olympic Games, but her tool of participation, the cycle, just a bicycle, was not given to her by the Nigerian Cycling Federation in conjunction with the Olympic Committee, the Nigerian Olympic Committee that entered her for the cycling event. So I think there's a lot of questions to be answered when we do return back from the Olympic Games, because we cannot continue to bring a shame to the country to the point where Germany has to borrow Nigeria bicycle for Nigerian cyclists to compete at the Olympic Games. I'm sure the sports minister will have a lot of questions to ask there when Team Nigeria do return. Let's take a break. When we return from a break, we'll still look at one or two events where Nigeria will be in action later today. We'll return shortly.
Het is Feyenoord. Feyenoord gaat door. In de beker. Over en uit voor Ajax. Feyenoord bekert verder. Wat de Kuip trilt is een ander
come back, Sports Talk, and we'll continue to bring you reviews of highlights and events at the Olympic Games ongoing in Paris. Kingsley is here, and together we are looking at what looks now like a very poor performance from Team Nigeria. However, there is still hope because there are one or two events in which Nigerians will participate in a few hours from now. One is Taekwondo, where Nigerian star Elizabeth Hennacho will commence her quest for Olympic glory in the women's 67 kg category. She has an opponent from China, Song Jun-ji, in the round of 16 at the Paris Olympic Games. Kingsley.
Yes, and I think for me it's also going to be a tough one for Elizabeth Hennacho. We understand that she's actually an experienced taekwondo athlete, but facing the Chinese opponent, I think it will be another difficult one because we understand the Chinese are also very good when it has to do with taekwondo. And talking about her opponents in this one, she won bronze in the 2023 World taekwondo championship. That should tell you that she also has that prowess. She has the pedigree of putting up a very impressive performance. So I think Elizabeth should watch it. It's not been so rosy for the country. If she can possibly, of course, put the Taekwondo Federation up there, I think it can be a huge one for her. But for me, I think it's going to be a difficult one into this encounter.
Elizabeth Hennacho definitely will have to bring all of her skills against our Chinese opponent. We understand our Chinese opponent, who is 25 years of age, is equally very strong. And so this is a match that a lot of hope is being placed by Team Nigeria because we need to get to the medal zone and at least the podium as well. But it's not only Taekwondo that will be on showcase for Team Nigeria later today. The African Games gold medalist Chidi Okezie will be in action in the 400 meters relay quartet event that it is expected that Nigeria should do something. This is one of our strong forts in the past, but of recent we will not be able to get it. But for Okezie, he's had a little bit of a problem. He couldn't make it to the
400 meters.
400 meters.
Yeah, 400 meters. Couldn't make it down to the 400 meters final. I think he finished fourth and fifth in the two events. Of course, he participated in the 400 meters. And from what it says, for me, the 4x400 might be a little bit of a difficult one. We have the man Okezie there. We have Samuel Okazi. There's also Duben down there. Emmanuel Ochejili. Are they formidable enough? This is not going to be an easy one, as it is. So for me, when you take a look at the performance of Samuel Okezie as well, you will say, are they that formidable to be able to take on the 4x400. For me, it's going to be a very tough one once again for Team Nigeria in the 4x400. I think for me, they should just try to bring out their individual brilliance, to see how they can get this one done. Because if they don't come up with their individual brilliance, it's going to be a very difficult one. And just look forward to see them, maybe just like the man, Okezie has said, probably do well to bring the baton home at the end of the day.
Well, we just hope that Team Nigeria will at least bring in one or two medals. That will be the least to expect from Team Nigeria at the Olympic Games, according to Kingsley. After all, over 12 billion has been spent on getting the team across there in Paris. Meanwhile, let's look at some other highlights of events that took place yesterday across the world, because Botswana Leslie Tobego made Africa very proud. He won the 200 meters Olympic gold, and that is historic because he did not only beat the world number one or the fastest man right now in the world to winning that 200 meters, but he had an African record time of 19.46, and that finishing ensured that it was the very first gold medal by any African in the 200 meters event at the Olympic Games.
Impressive one, very, very impressive, and I must give him a kudos for that impressive performance. Put it up a very impressive time down there, and that's, for me, I think a very good one, of course, for Botswana and for the man Leslie Tobego down there. I think for me, he actually took up that advantage, looking at the fact that Noah Lyons, of course, you heard yesterday he was tested, his tested positive for COVID-19 and couldn't participate in that particular one. He missed out in making the double, the Olympic double, which was 100 meters and 200 meters. And what for me was a very disappointing one for Noah Lyons. But I think Leslie took up that advantage to make sure, of course, he was able to get down to the finals for this particular one and get the gold medal for Botswana. Was really, of course, a very impressive one for him, and impressive one for Botswana for picking up gold medal as well in the 200 meters.
Well, so congratulations to Botswana's athlete for making Africa proud, winning gold medal first for his country, Botswana. And as if that was not enough, he became the very first African to winning the 200 meters gold. That is very, very heartwarming. Africans are beginning to show their strength as well. Like I mentioned there, he beat the fastest man right now in the world, Noah Niles of the United States of America, to winning this gold medal. So for me, that is
no, Niles didn't participate.
And
he didn't participate in the 200 meters final.
He did better. At least he cut him off by not allowing him to become another, what is his name now?
The double, making the Olympic
double. Olympic double, yes. So I think that's the solution there. Meanwhile, let's still bring you more highlights for what happened yesterday at the Olympic Games as it concerns Africa. Morocco had to take on Egypt in the classification match, and at the end of the day, it was Morocco that took the bronze. Kingsley, what happened between Morocco and Egypt yesterday in the football event?
It was really a whitewash. 6-0.
Whoa.
It ended in that particular encounter in favor of Morocco. I tell you, they actually dominated the encounter. We saw the likes of Sofiane Rami, putting up with some impressive performance. Akraf Hakimi, also having, a very impressive performance in that one. I think we must give it up to Morocco. They also dealt with Egypt at some point as well. I think in the under-23, African Cup of Nations or so, and another impressive performance for them this time. When they started this competition, we knew that Morocco will be a very strong side, when it has to do with the male football events at the Paris Olympic Games. We saw what they did against Argentina at the earlier part, of course, of the competition, and went all the way as well down to the semi-final, but were not able, of course, to get past their opener when they dropped, down to the bronze medal, game, and they were able to get past Egypt with ease in that encounter. I think we must give it up to Morocco. Morocco has been very consistent in world football, for some time now. We saw them at the Qatar World Cup. Yes, they didn't do well in the last African Cup of Nations, but coming down to the Olympics and still putting up this impressive performance for me, I think is a good one. We've seen football development going up down there in Cameroon, even in male and in female football. So I think we must give it up to Morocco so far for what they've done. I think they're doing a whole lot when it has to do with sports development. To understand, they'll be hosting the 2025 African Cup of Nations, and we hear that they're already putting up stadium in place. And for me, I think they've invested a lot, and now they're now reaping what they've sowed for some years now.
Well, for African countries, they have to take the Moroccan model, because everything good is coming out of Morocco over years, and it's a product of planning, or just a preparation over the years, that is really manifesting now. We've seen them get to the final of most events, and just as in football, in other sports generally. So I think there's something Morocco is doing right that the African countries need to copy. But still looking at highlights of what happened at the Olympic Games yesterday, we told you how Egypt now had to crash out while Morocco got the... Meanwhile, in football, still, Kingsley, today it will be the D-Day for host nation France and Spain in the football goal classification match. Who gets the goal? Who gets the silver?
It's going to be a very tough one. It's going to be a very tough one. Spain, once again, in another final. We just saw what they did in the Euro 2024, and now they're another final in the Olympic Games. Another tough encounter, of course, you will see against the French side, which we know, of course, has that a little bit of a pedigree in this particular one. So for me, I think if you take a look at it, you want to give it up to the Spanish side. When you take a look at how far they've played so far in the competition, you will say they stand a chance in this particular one. Take nothing away as well from the French national team. They also have what it takes to be able to get this one done and dusted. It's not easy for me to actually decide at this point in time. When you take a look at the progress of both teams down to the final, it should be difficult for you to say, oh, maybe Spain or France will go with this one. But we just have to keep our fingers crossed and see who comes up, of course, with the best of performance. And I think for me, the best team will get it at the end of the day.
So far, we've not seen any match being hosted in Paris, but because of the host nation involved in this one, and a lot of fans will be inside of the Paris Stadium, we're having a football event take place in Paris. And what do we expect? overwhelming crowd? Do we have measures of control in place?
For me, I think yes, of course, there are measures of control. We had, of course, before the Olympic game, there were, provision for high level of security. We understand that, countries like Spain and other countries as well actually helped, Paris, of course, with their security and all of that. So for me, I think security measures are intact. And for this particular one, I think France will actually be on the advantage side because the fans will be coming out, for this particular one. So what happened in the game against the Tigers of Nigeria, where we saw a lot of, fans, of course, in the stadium. That's what's also going to happen in this one, where, of course, the fans will come to support the team down there, in Paris. So for me, I think it's going to be a very huge one for the French national team. They will be having the 12th man down there backing them. And for me, it can go a long way boosting the morale of the players in getting this one. But still yet, I think it's still going to be a difficult one against the Spanish side.
Thierry Henry side, coach side, the Paris under 23, the French under 23 side will come up against European champions Spain there, and the promises to be very thrilling later today. Looking at some highlights of what happened yesterday, Kingsley, the United States of America up against Serbia in the basketball event was a thriller. At this stage, the world champions, United States of America, everybody knows the basketball to be their own, were down by a 17-point deficit, but at the fourth quarter, it all turned, and they ended up to be 95-91, and the United States of America are getting ready for maybe yet another gold medal in the Olympic. That could be their 5th straight gold medal. LeBron James were fantastic, triple-double of 16 points, 12 rebounds, and 10 assists. Steph Curry as well with double figures.
Yeah, impressive one, of course, for the United States of America. It's been, of course, a rosy one for them so far. Looking at how star-studded they are, you definitely, of course, want to give it up to them. The last game against Brazil was a whitewash. Coming against Serbia, that you have a certain Nikola Jokic was also very instrumental for the Serbian side. But his best,
Joe Embiid is there.
Joe Embiid as well. But in the team where you have the likes of LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, of course, it will be, of course, you expect it to be very difficult for Nikola Jokic and maybe Joe Embiid to probably get past them, of course. Wasn't really an easy one. It was a very cagey encounter.
It scored as many as 17 points, 11 assists.
Yes. But that was not really enough, of course, to see them through, at the end of the day. We saw the brilliance of LeBron James, had a triple-double in that encounter. It was a very, very fantastic outing for him. Even the likes of Steph Curry and Kevin Durant had an impressive outing as well. So when you take a look at it, the United States of America were star-studded. It was going to be difficult, of course, for Serbia to get past them. Despite the impressive performance they posed, I knew it was going to be a very tall mountain for them. But you must give it up to the United States. Look, going for their 5th Olympic medal at this point, it will be a huge one. And don't forget, LeBron James, this, of course, is his last Olympic appearance, and he also wants to get this one for himself. So for me, I think it was a good performance for them. I'll look forward to see how far it goes for them in the final.
They had a poor outing in the first half, but it looks around, turning it around especially in the fourth quarter, and it ended with a 4-point win, 95-91. I think Serbia will really have to ask themselves what could have happened, because at the stage they were 17 points ahead of the basketball team of the United States of America. They like to call them the dream team, so to say. Meanwhile, we'll have to begin to wrap it up on the Olympic Games. And Kingsley, let's look at the medals table first with Africa. What do you see here? South Africa initially was on top, but now it is Kenya with 5 medals overall, 1 gold, 1 silver, and 3 bronze.
Yeah, impressive one for the Kenyans, and of course, they took most of this in the long distance races. They are very good so far in the long distance races. In total, 5 medals for Kenya and this one. We also have South Africa, a total of 4 medals, and Uganda 2 medals, Morocco 2 medals, Algeria 1 medal, Botswana getting that medal, of course, down there in the 200 meters event. 1 medal for Botswana. Ethiopia up there with 2 medals, Tunisia 1 medal, Egypt as well with 1 medal, Zambia with just 1 medal. And taking a look at the fact that these countries, have amassed medals so far in the competition, and Team Nigeria, of course, are nowhere to be found in the African medals table, is not something very, very impressive. But we must give it up to other African countries that have stepped up. At least so far so good. Kenya has been able to put Africa down there with a total of 5 medals, so far. So I think for me, a little bit of a impressive performance for them. But for me, it's still not good enough with just 5 medals at the Paris Olympic Game. For African country, not a very good one.
10 countries from Africa so far on the medals table at the Olympic Games. 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nigeria is yet to join on the medals table there, but 10 other African countries have made the continent proud, at least entering on the medals table. Now, let's take a look at the overall table now. Which country is number 1?
The United States of America, of course, number 1. They actually got past China. There are 103 medals, of course, for United States of America. A total of 30 gold, 38 silver, and 35 bronze. China is second down there with a total of 73 medals. And I think possibly maybe before the games come to an end, maybe tomorrow, China can possibly put up, because you take a look at it, the more of the gold medals you have, the more chance of you topping the table. China have 29 medals, while United States have 30 medals. So if China can possibly get, like, let's say 2-3 gold medals, maybe today and tomorrow, they can top the table. But for what it is, I think the United States of America, they're up there and they don't want to relent.
With just about a few hours to the end of the Olympic Games for 2024 out there in Paris, the United States of America lead by 1 gold medal because they have 30 as compared to the Republic of China that has 29 medal. But overall, the United States still have more medals, 103 as compared to 73 from the People's Republic of China. Meanwhile, Australia has overall medal of 45 as compared to France that has 54 in the 4th place position. Britain has 21 with just 13 gold medal, and it looks like host nation will not be amongst the first 10, but let's see. To a few more hours to the end of the event, we can see a change on the medals table. Let's quickly now get to wrap up the showcase, but we'll bring you some football stories across any major movement across both players and coaches.
Yes, some major movements, but I think we've not really gotten much movement, down here in Nigeria. We've seen some players, moving, and some coaches. But I think since we got a report that the likes of Emmanuel Muniki has gone down to Heartland, we also had some couple of movements, of course, in the Nigerian Premier Football.
Emmanuel Muniki, former coach of the national team.
Yeah. Now the coach of Heartland FC, and I think for me is a good one. Say Emmanuel Muniki back, of course, in the Nigerian Premier Football League. It will make the league, of course, to be more intense, where you have big-name coaches like Finidi George, Fidelis Ilechukwu, Kennedy Boboye, and the rest of them. We also have Imama Mapakabo as well at Abia Warriors. So I think the coming MPFL season will be very, very tough, looking at the fact that we have these, brilliant coaches, down there in different teams. So we just look forward to see a very, very exciting MPFL season.
Talk about coaches and movement. The Super Eagles of Nigeria is still coachless, Kingsley, with few weeks to the very crucial qualifier.
Yeah, still coachless, and we hear there's still search for a new manager. We hear they've actually approached, different manager. We're talking about the likes of Tom.
Sefield,
the rest of them. But take a look at these managers. Are they really that formidable? We hear that some of the coaches, of course, they started negotiating with some of these coaches. But for me, I think the NFF at some point haven't really done well. They are supposed to make a search, after Finidi George, of course, tender the resignation later. By now, we should be talking about the coach, calling players, get themselves ready for the African qualifiers. But at this point in time, you have few weeks to the African qualifiers and you're searching for a coach. For me, I think the NFF, they've not done so well. And I tell you, if it continues this way, or it since happens this way, it might not be that rosy for Team Nigeria. We're already in a dicey situation where we're not gotten our foot right when it has to do with the African qualifiers. The World Cup qualifiers were at the verge of elimination, and this is what is happening when it has to do with appointing a manager to see the affairs of the team. For me, it's really late at this point, searching for a manager at the moment. And I think the NFF, of course, if anything happens that Team Nigeria do not go to the World Cup, they should be held responsible.
Well, the football fraternity in Africa is in a mourning mood following the death yesterday of the former CAF president Issa Hayatou, one man who made a lot of impact both in the African football, world football as well. At the stage, he was FIFA president, Kingsley. Issa Hayatou of Cameroon, former CAF president. In fact, one of the longest reigning CAF president has passed on.
Yes, I think for me it was a sad one when I got that report yesterday. One man who's been in the game for long. He was CAF president from 1988 to 2017. That was, of course, you see, a very long time. And we saw massive, growth when it has to do with football and the country. In his tenure, we saw the expansion for the African Cup of Nations and the inclusion of more African teams, in the FIFA World Cup and the strengthening of football infrastructure across the continent. For me, it was a very good time when he was there as the CAF president. So it was really a sad one, missing the man. We understand that towards the end part of his reign as African president down here, there were a little bit of hitches, money laundering and all of that. But so far so good, despite whatever the man has done. At least you give him credit for taking African football at least to an enviable heights, when he was there as the president of CAF.
Well, I had to go out with the family of Issa Hayatou, one man who, African, who, at the stage was FIFA president, the only African to emerge as FIFA president there, maybe because of what happened to Sepp Blatter. He didn't contest an election, but at least he acted as FIFA president for a period of time. So I had to go out to the family, and we hope that they find the fortitude to bear the loss. And that will be it. Just before we go, Kingsley, there's been a major retirement from football. Pepe of Portugal has retired from football.
Yeah, that's of course the big one at the age of 41. Of course, you don't really expect much from him. He exactly paid his dues. We've seen what he was able to do with Porto, with Real Madrid, and for the Portuguese national team. Had an impressive record so far. I think for me, the man has achieved a lot.
Won 3 Champions League in 10 years.
Yes, he has really achieved
a massive one. 3 Champions League trophy in 10 years for his club side.
He has really achieved a lot.
Well, is would like to say wish Pepe a fruitful search for maybe something else to do away from football. He will have time now to. We understand he was born in Brazil, but he represented Portugal, his adopted country.
Yeah. Then for me, I think for me it was if you take a look at it, a good decision.
He did 141 matches for Portugal.
Yeah, and for me, I would say it's a good decision because even leaving Brazil, understands the footballing nation, he was still able to excel, of course, in Portugal as a defender. One of the very best, centre back football has seen. When you talk about the very best, talk about other defenders we've seen, but I think, of course, has done a whole lot, in the beautiful world of football. And retiring at the age of 41, I think for me, it's been a very, very rosy career for the man.
Well, Pepe will say, is going there, and he actually entered into the history books as the oldest player to play in the European Championship at the age of 41. So there's quite a lot for Pepe on his retirement there. And that will be it for this edition of Sports Talk. We're definitely back at 6 p.m. Nigerian time for Sports Extraordinary, where we'll keep you all posted with the latest happening at the Paris Olympic Games. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on Atlantic Television Network.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories, in politics, business, social economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all